When I requested to work from home temporarily, my supervisor laughed. Work from home? She should worry about working at all before making demands. He winked at the room as people snickered. I calmly sent an email to corporate outlining every time he had slacked off on-site, including pictures. Within 72 hours, I was fully approved, and he was suspended without pay. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to write one of these revenge stories. I don't even like drama. But sometimes, people push you too far. This happened earlier this year in Hickory, North Carolina, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around how fast it all went down. I work for a regional distribution company. We manage everything from order processing to truck dispatch, mostly for building materials. It's not a huge company, but we're not tiny either. We've got maybe 130 people on payroll, a warehouse, a dock team, and an admin office. I've been there over 8 years. I know the systems inside and out. I've trained at least half of the newer employees on our software, I've pulled weekend shifts when systems went down, and I've never once had a late write-up or even a warning. I'm not the loudest or the most fun employee, but people know I get stuff done. So when my mom had a fall and needed help around the house for a few weeks, I thought asking to work remotely for 2 weeks wouldn't be a huge deal. She's diabetic and in her 70s. I wasn't trying to go on vacation. I just needed to be home in case she fell again or needed help with her meds or meals. I had my company laptop, VPN access, and all the programs I needed. I could do my full job from home. Only problem? My supervisor. His name is Craig. Early 50s, tall, thinning hair, loud. Always making little jokes at meetings. Loves calling people chief or champ. He was promoted years ago, not because he's great at the job, but because he knows how to schmooze with the higher-ups. We all knew he didn't actually do much. He liked walking around the floor, acting busy, but most of us knew he spent half his time in the break room or in his car taking calls. He didn't like remote work. Said it made people lazy. Said you can't trust what people are doing when you can't see them. This, coming from a man who literally spent half of last summer watching baseball games on his tablet during peak hours. Anyway, I walked up to him after a Monday morning meeting and said, "Hey Craig, got a second?" He sipped his giant cutie drink and said, "Make it quick, I got stuff piling up." I explained the situation with my mom and asked if I could work from home for just 2 weeks. I told him I had the equipment, the access, and that I'd be available all day, even for video check-ins. He blinked a few times and then laughed. Not a chuckle, a loud laugh that made the 2 guys behind me turn around. Then he said, "Work from home? She should worry about working at all before making demands." Then he smirked. Smirked like he just dropped the mic, winked at the rest of the team, like they were supposed to laugh too. A few did. Nervous chuckles. One guy just looked down at his keyboard. I stared at him. I said nothing. Just nodded and walked back to my desk. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. But inside, I made a decision. I was going to take him down. And I had the ammo. Over the next 24 hours, I built a file. Not gossip. Not opinions. Just facts. I'd been noticing Craig's laziness for years, but now I had a reason to dig deep. I found timestamps of days he came in over 90 minutes late but still marked himself on site in the log. I had a video clip from last August where he fell asleep in the server room chair. Full-on head tilt, mouth open, out cold for nearly 45 minutes while the tracking system had gone down. I had photos from the internal security cam, which I managed, showing him watching baseball on his iPad in the break room during the middle of a vendor shipment delay. I had Slack logs where critical issues were escalated to him, and he never replied, until I ended up fixing it myself. I had meeting records he skipped without explanation, even though we were dealing with budget errors that week. I even had one email thread where a customer blamed us for a late shipment, and Craig forwarded it to me with no note, then told his boss later he had smoothed it over. I pulled it all together. screenshots, logs, photos. Labeled and dated. Each one had a quick note about how it affected work, missed deadlines, extra hours others had to put in, money lost. I wrote up a cover letter of sorts. Very simple, very calm. I am requesting a temporary 2-week work-from-home arrangement to assist with my elderly mother's medical recovery. When I brought this up to my direct supervisor, Craig, last name, I was publicly mocked and dismissed. I am sharing this not to escalate unnecessarily, but to make clear the kind of double standard I am dealing with. Below, you will find attached evidence of behavior from my supervisor that contradicts the professional expectations placed on the rest of us. Then I sent it. Not from my work email. I used the internal ethics portal. Anonymous, secure, and routed directly to HR and upper management. I also sent a direct email to HR a day later from my real email, calmly requesting reconsideration of my remote work request. That was Monday night. By Thursday morning, I had a reply from corporate HR. Your request to work remotely has been approved for the full 2-week duration. IT support will be in contact to ensure your setup is fully functional. Nothing about Craig. But by noon, Craig wasn't in the office. He didn't call out sick. No email. No notice. His desk was just empty. By 3 p.m., word started spreading. Quietly, one of the warehouse guys came over and said, "You hear? Craig's been suspended." HR walked him out. I didn't react. Just kept working. The next day, we had a new interim supervisor. Rachel. Calm, smart, no drama. She pulled me aside around lunch and said, "Hey. I don't know what happened this week, but I've seen your records. You've done a lot here. I want you to know you're respected." Later, 2 coworkers quietly came up and said, "We saw what he did." Thank you. The office felt different after Craig disappeared. It was quieter, for sure. But not peaceful. More like everyone was holding their breath, waiting to see what happened next. Rachel, the interim supervisor, did her best to keep things moving. She wasn't fake nice like Craig. She was matter-of-fact and kept meetings short. But she didn't try to win people over or stir the pot. She made decisions fast and didn't ask a million questions about everything. But Craig's shadow still hung over us. Especially over me. See, it didn't take long for people to start whispering. Not everyone knew what happened, but rumors spread fast. I overheard 2 guys at the copier saying, "Somebody snitched." Then one of them added, "It's always the quiet ones." And then my closest coworker, Carla, who I'd trained years ago and always got along with, suddenly started being weird with me. I asked her to help cross-check a delivery log, and she just shrugged and said, "You're the one corporate listens to now. You figure it out." That one stung. It got worse the next week. Craig sent a group text to several people in our department. I wasn't on it, but someone forwarded it to me. It said, "Just so y'all know, corporate believed some lies, and now I'm suspended for doing my damn job. Someone in that office better hope they never make a mistake, 'cause payback's a bitch." Subtle, right? People started acting distant. A few folks avoided eye contact. It was clear they were worried I'd turn them in too. What they didn't get is that I never wanted to get anyone fired. I just wanted to be treated fairly. That's it. But now I was walking around like I had a target on my back. I started working later. Eating lunch at my desk. Avoiding the break room. Then Rachel called me into her office one Friday. "You're doing solid work," she said, "but I need to ask. Did you file the report on Craig?" I was quiet for a second. "Yes," I said. "I did." She didn't look surprised. She nodded slowly. "He's appealing," she said. "He's saying he was targeted. That his performance wasn't actually a problem, just personality conflicts." I laughed, but it came out bitter. "You saw the files, right?" The photos, the system logs? I did, she said. But legal wants us to be careful. HR's still reviewing everything. There may be interviews. Maybe even a hearing. I felt sick. So, this isn't over. No, she said. Not yet. That weekend, I got an anonymous email. Just 2 words in the subject line, watch yourself. Inside was a picture. Of me. Sitting in the break room from weeks ago, eating lunch and looking at my phone. No message. No threats. Just that. That anonymous photo messed with my head more than I wanted to admit. At first, I tried to brush it off. Maybe it was just someone trying to scare me. Maybe it was Craig, trying to rattle me before his appeal. I told myself not to overthink it. But something about it felt wrong. Not just creepy. Personal. Like someone close had taken it. I didn't tell Rachel. I didn't go to HR. I didn't want to seem paranoid. I just saved the email and kept it in a folder in case I needed it later. But I started paying attention. And that's when I noticed something else. My access permissions had changed. I logged into our internal system the following Monday and saw that one of the admin panels I always used was suddenly restricted. A red banner flashed, access denied. Contact IT for support. I checked another tool, same thing. I'd had these privileges for years. I was the one who trained people on these systems. I submitted a quiet ticket to IT asking if something had changed. A guy named Dave replied, Rachel told us to limit a few accounts while the system logs were under review. Should be temporary. That didn't sit right with me. I went straight to Rachel's office. Hey, did you ask IT to limit my access? She didn't hesitate. Yes. I had to. You're part of the investigation now. But I'm not the one who did anything wrong, I said. You made an accusation. A serious one. It triggered a process, she said. You have nothing to worry about unless there's something you left out. It felt like she was testing me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I went back through my emails, old screenshots, logs, anything that might have been twisted or misinterpreted. Everything still held up. But the next morning, someone had rummaged through my desk. I'm not crazy. I know where I leave my things. I have a drawer with a little organizer tray, paper clips, sticky notes, my spare charger. The tray was flipped, and my charger was gone. I asked Carla if she'd seen anything. She said, maybe it just fell behind something. It hadn't. But I let it go. Then, the worst part, IT flagged a security alert tied to my login. They said someone had used my credentials on a Sunday night to log into our shared drive. From a warehouse terminal. I wasn't even in the building. Security pulled the camera footage. They told Rachel it was unclear, but someone in a hoodie accessed the terminal. Rachel called me in again. Do you have your login saved anywhere? No. I don't. Ever share it? Never. She stared at me for a long second. Things are heating up. You might want to document everything from now on, she said. Now I knew, someone was trying to frame me. And I had a short list of who that could be. At that point, I didn't care about playing it quiet anymore. Someone had broken into my account. Someone had gone into my desk. Someone had taken a picture of me and sent it anonymously. This wasn't just petty workplace drama anymore. This was personal. And someone wanted me to go down with Craig. So I did what I always do, I documented everything. I made a full timeline. I printed emails, flagged security reports, logged every weird incident, anonymous email, desk tampering, even the restricted access. I made copies. Stored them at home and on a private USB I kept with me. And then I went one step further, I checked our system's internal access logs myself. There's a hidden panel only 3 of us had access to before they restricted me. But I remembered something IT didn't know I knew, a backdoor log viewer I helped test last year, before they took me off admin. It was still active. I ran a trace. The login that happened from the warehouse terminal on Sunday night? It wasn't random. The terminal ID matched one in the shipping zone. The camera footage was grainy, but I saw something others missed, a limp. A very specific limp from a work boot injury someone in our building had. And I knew exactly who had that limp. Carla. My old friend. The one who turned cold the second Craig was suspended. The one who said "you're the one corporate listens to now," with venom. It clicked all at once. She was close to Craig. She always laughed at his jokes. Took his side in meetings. Got off easy when she messed things up because he covered for her. She wasn't just upset. She was protecting him. She was trying to help him get back at me. I took my findings straight to HR, but I didn't send them through the system. I drove down to the corporate office. I walked into the HR director's office and said, "I know someone's trying to set me up. And I know who it is." I laid everything out, printouts, dates, photos, system access. Showed them the limp. The footage. The timestamps. They said nothing the whole time. The next day, HR launched a second investigation. Within 48 hours, Carla was called into a meeting. She didn't come out. Her desk was cleaned out by lunch. An internal memo went out the following week confirming the outcome. Craig had been terminated for cause. Carla had been terminated for security violations and misconduct. But it didn't end there. They found that Craig had been trying to build a case to sue the company, claiming discrimination, hostile work environment, even retaliation for age. Carla had agreed to help him prove that I was targeting him unfairly. She gave him my login. Planted things on my drive. Sent the photo from her personal phone. She'd been trying to trigger a false investigation to make it look like I was the toxic one. Both of them failed. But the damage wasn't clean. I didn't walk away without burns. People still looked at me sideways. I got passed over for a promotion 2 months later. The higher-ups said they wanted new energy and brought someone from another office instead. Some folks still act like I caused drama. Even Rachel kept her distance after that. Eventually, I found another job, remote, better pay, no Craig, no Carla. But I don't regret what I did. Not for 1 second. Craig mocked me for asking to work from home to care for my mother. He laughed at me in front of our team. Acted like I was lazy. Like I didn't pull my weight. So I showed him just how much weight I was carrying, and how light things got without him. And when his little sidekick tried to finish what he started, I finished her instead.